Welcome back to Life After Service, where I help veterans find purpose and meaning after leaving the military. And today, I'll be talking about saving money.
On track, now we gon' way up. Don't be used as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up.
So it seems like we all know that one person that they never have money in the military. They get paid on Friday, and it seems by Sunday that all of their money's gone, whether it's going to bills, whether they bought something that they can't really afford. The kind of traditional example is buying the Camaro with like 20% interest or something like that. Or they're just reckless and they don't really have a budget or anything like that. And the money, it doesn't last more than a few days in their account. So what I want to go over today is three different uh, not tips, but three different steps that you can use to help save money, whether you're still in, you're getting out, or you're already out. So these kind of play on Dave Ramsey's principles. So if you haven't heard of him, he's a financial expert. He has a podcast and a book that I definitely recommend reading. He outlines his 5 or 6 steps, but I'm just going to go over those first three today. So the first step is to have or to save up $1,000 emergency fund. This is a cash only fund that you keep in your house, easy access, where it's liquid. You don't have to go through a whole lot of steps if you did need to access that. So it's not put in a bank or anything like that. $1,000 cash emergency fund. That's step number one. Step number two is once you have that emergency fund in place, is you start paying down your debt. So this could be credit cards, this could be your car, just whatever you owe monthly on. It could even be something like a cell phone, paying off your cell phone or something like that. But you start, he calls it, Dave Ramsey calls it the debt snowball. So what it is you start off with the smallest debt. Maybe it's $200 paying off a credit card. You put all of your effort into paying off that while still maintaining your minimum payments on everything else. And then once that's paid off, you move on to the next biggest one and the next biggest. And that's that kind of principle of the snowball. And then once you have all that debt paid off, step number three is to get 3 to 6 months of savings accumulated just in case for that unforeseen circumstance, whether it's changing to a new job or getting out of the military. You have that backup there so you're not scrambling last minute as you watch that bank account dwindle. So those are the three steps. There are three kind of precursors to that, that if you don't have these in place, it's going to be hard to start with those three steps. So the first one is setting up a savings account. So don't just have a checking. It's good to have checking, but you also want a savings because it creates a barrier between the money that you're spending on bills and stuff like that and money that's focused just on savings. So if you don't have a savings account yet, step number one is to get that savings account open. It's free at pretty much every bank and it's super easy. You can probably do it online. Step number two is to list out your income, how much money you have coming in, and then your expenses or the bills that you're paying. So on one side of a sheet of paper, put your income, how much money's coming in, and then all of your expenses, which are going to be things like your rent, your car payment, credit card bills, insurance, everything that's coming out on a monthly basis, and then compare the two, and then see if you have more money or less money. And of course, if you have less money, that means that you're losing money every month, and then vice versa. But once you have that in place, what you want to do is start looking for what I call leaks. And these leaks are things that it just kind of drips out of your account and you really don't notice it. So it could be like a Hulu account, it could be going to Starbucks every day, eating out, all these things. You can make minor adjustments, but they add up over time. So that's step number two is checking for those leaks. And then step number three is to create a savings goal each month. So when you're looking at getting started with that initial first step of creating that $1,000 emergency fund, you may not be able to do that immediately. And so what you need to do instead is to start with a savings goal and then work towards that until you have that $1,000 saved up. So it could be putting away $100 every paycheck or $50, just whatever you can afford. And again, by checking those leaks, that's going to allow you to free up more money that you can put towards that emergency fund and then from there pay down your debt. So again, those three steps are: number one, set up your emergency fund; number two, pay down your debt; and number three, accumulate 3 to 6 months of savings. And of course, the precursors to that are to set up a savings account, to check your budget and check for those leaks where that money's flowing out. And then step number 3, set a savings goal for each paycheck that you allocate towards that. So I hope you guys learned something from that. Let me know what practices you use to help save money, and we'll see you next time.